I think it's very possible that silver can go to $100 US per troy ounce. Whether or not it's going to go to 150 or 200, it really depends on the global physical silver free float situation. Okay, so like free float and also free flow. Okay, like from one location to another, flowing. So if those two things, get major hiccups. Okay, so if the free float is too low, or like let's say China is really serious about the export controls, and the physical silver flows get disrupted, we might be seeing 200 US dollars or above.
Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Well, it's the beginning of the year, and I've got one of my favorite guests, really. It's Eric Yeung from Hong Kong at King Kong 9888. And we are speaking on the first trading day of the year, at least in the West, Eric, I think, January 2nd, Friday. So, welcome again, Eric.
Thank you for having me on again, Mario. Happy New Year to yourself, your family, and your audience.
The same to you and your family, Eric. And is it a holiday today in Hong Kong or just in China?
In Hong Kong, it's not a holiday. I believe in China, it's a holiday for many governmental entities. So they will be fully back online on Monday.
I see, I see.
Yeah.
And before we go on to, I think, what is a really important topic, there's a lot of speculation, a lot of people questioning whether it's going to make any difference, the Chinese export controls. Just want to have your take on like a review of last year, quick review, and what you expect going forward for the precious metals and the miners in 2026.
Yeah, so I think it looks like gold and silver have been consolidating for the last week or so, ever since they made their all-time high. And in my opinion, I think they're going to consolidate maybe a little bit more, and then continue to try making new all-time highs, just because of the structural deficits, especially for silver, and the humongous demand by not only industrials, but also many global south and financial entities, etc., all around the world.
Yes, I'm continuing to hear from my source, Eric, that central banks in the Middle East are they're not going to stop buying physical gold or silver. It's going to continue. And as we speak here on Friday, uh, gold is at 43.88, so almost back to 4,400. It's up 1.5%. Silver is up almost 4%. Well, basically 4% at 74.43. Yeah, and talking about the price of silver in the West. What's going on before we go on to the export controls? What's going on in terms of the Shanghai premium? And maybe you could, I know we weren't going to cover this, but just briefly, how much higher is the price in China? I've heard that in Japan it's like over $100. So I'm sure there's a lot of misinformation, but when it comes from you, I'm quite certain of what you talk about because you're very thorough with your analysis.
Okay, so I did I grabbed a whole bunch of numbers on yesterday from the different exchanges in China for silver. Okay, for the silver price. So I'm just going to read it to your audience. So on in China, China's silver prices on December 31st, 2025. That was the last day of trading before the holidays started. So Shanghai Metals Exchange, that's the SME, via the SMM. SMM is their platform where they do the quotations. Direct quotes from two dealers, which have the VAT included, was around 82.36 US dollars per troy ounce equivalent. So that's 86.36 US dollars per troy ounce equivalent. And that's from the SME. Okay? That exchange, I'm going to reiterate this, they do quotations directly. So the VAT, the 13% VAT on silver is included. The Shanghai Gold Exchange, which do not, like, their quotations do not include VAT, is 75.91 USD per troy ounce equivalent at the close. And the Shanghai Futures Exchange, the SHFE, which also do not have the VAT included for their quotes that you see online, is 75.97 US dollars per troy ounce equivalent. So if you take 82.36, which is the SME quotation, divide by 72.97 is 1.13. That's the VAT on silver in China, which is the 13%. So 72.97, that's my calculation on the import cost for the SME guys. That was still higher than the 70 to 71 or $72 that the LBMA and the COMEX were quoting.
Yeah, and on the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the Shanghai Futures Exchange, it was 75, wasn't it?
Yeah, Shanghai Gold Exchange and Shanghai Futures Exchange, the premium is even higher. So my understanding is that the SME deals a lot with local production of silver rather than imports. Like there's a lot more domestic buying and selling at the SME. That's why their price is a little bit lower than the SG and the SHFE. But all the different places in China also has slight arbitrages, as we can see here. So that's the situation.
So before we continue with Eric's interview, I want to talk a little bit about gold and in particular silver. Of course, 2025 was a stellar year for the sector. Gold was up 64.72%, silver up almost 150%. I mean, silver is now the third or fourth largest asset in the world. It depends on the fluctuation of the price, of course, but it's way up there. So the numbers speak for themselves. The breakout in silver, as I said a few months ago, would be historic because we broke through a major technical formation, that cup and handle that had been brewing for 45 years. And I told you the price would catapult. And as Michael Oliver said on the channel the other day, we are in a new reality for silver, and I agree with him. So I'm about to share with you what I think is one of the top pure silver ideas for the coming decade by pure silver miners. That's what I mean. There's one billionaire mining tycoon that has recently increased his position in this particular silver company that I think looks really good. On top of that, a prominent Argentinian businessman who already invested millions in May of 2025 recently raised his personal stake once more by millions of dollars just a few months ago, which is the reason I'm profiling this company to you today. So the bottom line is this. Number one, it's a pure silver play. Number two, We're in the midst of arguably the best silver market ever. Number three, with the biggest shareholders, Frank Justra, a mining billionaire, being one of them. And number four, only 1% of the land package has ever been drilled, and there's plenty of cash to drill right now. Well, I think it's arguably an ideal situation, in my opinion. Together, both Frank Justra and Eduardo Elstein, through his group of entities, now own roughly a quarter of today's sponsor. So the sponsor or the company is Argenta Silver. Its ticker symbol in the US is AGAGF. And the stock is available on Interactive Brokers and Schwab. As I said earlier, silver was almost 150% in 2025, shocking many people, maybe not you or me, but Argenta Silver shares, they were up 190% in 2025, but they're still down about 30% from its peak. So I think it's incumbent upon you, if you're interested, to do your homework on this company, to look at the numbers and the story as well. So let's go through the top 3 reasons why I think Argenta Silver is one of the top silver ideas out there. Well, number 1, you've got 2 highly successful businessmen with proven track records in mining, and they've bought millions and tens of millions of shares. Both Frank Justra and Argentinian real estate entrepreneur Eduardo Elstein are major shareholders of Argenta Silver. Number 2, valuation of the company. Well, here are the dry figures which tell the story. The previous owners of the Elkivar property spent an estimated 60 million Canadian dollars on the project, discovering the 3rd largest pure silver deposit in Argentina and building a 100-people camp. Argenta purchased this project for only $3.5 million in September of 2024. And the pure silver deposit contains silver resource of 45.3 million ounces at 482 grams per ton silver indicated, and 4.1 million ounces at 417 grams per ton silver inferred. And what's more amazing, and I can't overstate the potential here, is that less than 1% of the project area has been explored. And this is already the 3rd largest undeveloped pure silver deposit in Argentina. And Argenta Silver has a significant cash position, roughly $18 million in working capital, and they're drilling as we speak. So results are imminent and will continue to come for the next few months, all in the context of this bull market, which there's never been anything like before, right? Again, the ticker symbol on the OTC US market is AGAGF. As I always tell you about these opportunities, they're highly speculative, so make sure you do your due diligence and your homework before risking capital. So let's continue with Eric's interview now. Yeah, so let's look at then the export controls that people have been speculating about. I mean, Eric, going back a year or two, we were warning people about BRICS, how they're going to implement a new monetary system with gold. And even now they're talking about silver, so it's even more interesting. But we were like denigrated and ridiculed by the people that do that, saying that, oh, that will never happen. The dollar is going to remain the major reserve currency, major reserve asset. But and it's the same thing here for this export control. A lot of people trying to create doubts. So yeah, I'll leave it up to you to talk about that because I think you're the best. You're the guy who has one foot in China and one foot in the West. I mean, a lot of people think Hong Kong is like China, but technically it's not. And you've lived in the West. You speak good English. You read English. I mean, you grew up in Canada, I think, and you speak Chinese, and you get a lot of people trying to discredit what you're saying. So I'll leave it up to you to prove that they're wrong.
Okay, well, before I even start, Mario, I'm going to say this, and I said it on my X account, like, to the public. In China, all government documents that they distribute, if they are both Chinese and English versions, and if, let's say, the English version is unclear or there's some sort of dispute between the English version and the Chinese version in terms of like things like loss in translation or unclear verbiage in the English version, the Chinese version is always the one that they would use as the official version that supersedes everything. Does that make sense? I mean, it's China, right?
Yeah, that
So
makes
they use
sense.
Chinese
Yeah,
as the official language, not
of
English.
course. I
And
mean,
and we're not. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
no,
Yeah,
I've seen like videos on YouTube in the last few years. Sometimes people, Westerners traveling through China, and they've got translations in English, not only in China, but in other countries. And the translation is completely like wrong. It doesn't make
correct.
any sense. So, like you said, in China, you need to read the Chinese document. It's like in the US, you're not going to read the French translation to a document. You're going to read the English version.
So, like, I mean, we're not living in the 1800s during the days of the Qing dynasty. Even then, the Qing government used the Chinese version. It's just, in disputed areas like Hong Kong, where you have the colonial powers imposing English as the official language. Okay, so the people who comes to me using some sort of a half-baked English translated Chinese document and try to argue with me or my associates, well, they are wrong. And I urge everybody, all of the audience, to dismiss and report these people as spreading misinformation on social media.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's it.
yeah. So, um, first, could you talk about how important China is in silver production and also in processing silver? I think China exports, well, up until 2025, it exported a lot of the processed silver back to the West. So the West didn't they also use the silver to make, let's say, solar panels and sell the solar panels? So what's going on here, and why do you think China is putting on these export controls? How they're going to impact the market? And yes, and how do you think it's going to impact the price in the West?
Okay, so China, I was told by many different sources that China processes 60% of all 999 pure silver in the entire world. So I don't know if that's true, but it sounds legitimate. I mean, like the problem with silver is that a lot of these export import figures via OTC over the counter transactions, which are not reported in official figures. So we can only guess, but if we go back to the export control statement by the Chinese government, I sent it to you, Mario, the original screen capture
Yeah, let me.
from the Chinese Commerce Department
Yeah, I've got it here, so it can show people that it's in
in
Chinese,
Chinese
but
text.
you've
Yeah,
translated it. But anyway, here it is.
I have. I'm going to read it to your audience.
Yeah,
So there are two main, administrative changes to the export of silver from China, and they're really important. It's not a nothing burger like the Western mainstream media is saying, or some X accounts or some Western accounts on X are saying. Is basically meaningless or like nothing has changed. They are wrong. Okay, there are major changes that are being implemented. So I'm just going to read it out. Number one, the previous quota system is abolished and replaced with a licensing system requiring case by case approval. Now remember this, case by case approval. Each export shipment must apply for a license individually with reviews covering the buyer's background and compliance of end use. So that's number one. Number two, only enterprises with an annual production capacity of over 80 metric tons and about 40 metric tons in Western regions, and a continuous 3-year export track record can apply for qualification.
yeah, Eric.
Yes,
Yeah, no.
yes,
So I guess Western, it means what in Western China.
yes, correct.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
basically, just if we look at point number one, right? I hear a lot of Western commentators and mainstream media saying it's a nothing burger. There are like 44 entities that got that are licensed now, right, to do this. It's no big deal. It's like the same as before. No, because before it's on the quota system. So once you are initially licensed, you can ship whatever silver you want to the rest of the world from
and
China.
how
But,
many
but now,
how many times you want as well. You don't have to
exactly how many times,
apply.
whatever. It's
Yeah,
a wild, wild west, right? You can do whatever you want as long as you have the license, right? Initially. But now it's on a per shipment, per case basis. And whatever you ship out, the end use has to be declared and has to be qualified. So my comment on all this is that I don't think saving the LBMA or shipping silver to London, like I'm talking about 999 pure silver bars, right, would be considered as a qualified end use in the Chinese government's eyes.
yeah, and I remember a year or a year and a half ago, quite a few of the Chinese banks left the LBMA, but there's still ICBC still a member, isn't it?
ICBC is not only a member of the LBMA, Mario, it is also a clearing member of the London Precious Metals Clearing Limited. So
Yeah,
that's the LP, London Precious Metals Clearing, LPC
yeah, M.
ML, right?
Yeah,
LPCML, right? Yeah.
yeah. So
So
they,
that's the London. Yeah, it's a long
yeah.
title.
Do you
London
think?
Precious. Yeah, sorry.
Do
Go
you
ahead.
think the Chinese authorities are because I think I heard from you from one of your posts recently that they lease a lot of silver to London, but they want it back now. And would the Chinese officials allow ICBC now to keep shipping leasing silver to London?
I really doubt it. I don't think it's going to be allowed to continue. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you read my X post. One of my followers, he is, I guess, he has some information that he acquired from mainland China. He's a mainland Chinese person. Okay, this is somebody from mainland China, and he acquired information that he wanted me to authenticate, but unfortunately, I cannot authenticate this information because it's like, China is on holiday right now, the New Year's holiday. So, but I'm going to read it to you, what he sent me. Okay, so he said official confirmation from the Shanghai Port Authority as of 11:47 p.m. local time on December 31st. Chinese ports have begun refusing to ship silver cargoes to delivery warehouses approved by the COMEX, the New York Mercantile Exchange. The US proposal was extremely straightforward. Urgently purchase 15 million troy ounces of silver, immediately obtain export permits, pay with US Treasury bonds, and bypass the SWIFT system through bilateral currency swaps. Beijing rejected it. So that's the message that I got, and it sort of, I mean, we don't know if it's an authenticated official statement, but it does kind of make sense given the circumstances that we're in right now.
Yeah, and the other question, this is more to do with COMEX and LBMA, so not China. Do you think the Americans are gonna keep allowing COMEX to send silver to London? That's another interesting point, I think, because the U.S. administration has also made silver strategic, and strategic mineral recently.
Well, I mean, I think the ball is in Donald Trump's court, like you said. I'm just going to use that phrase to describe the situation, because if China is no longer going to ship silver to the LBMA, the next time the LBMA is in dire need of physical silver, it will have to accelerate the physical silver drainage of the COMEX vaults. Now, the question is the American government, like you said, going to allow that? That's like silver is a strategic metal that is critical to the US military industrial complex. So I don't know. I mean, it's still up in the air. I think Robert Gottlieb said we'll find out by the end of January. And just to remind your audience, Robert Gottlieb, he ran the precious metals desk at JP Morgan before he retired.
Yeah. No, Robert Gottlieb, he knows, he would know, I guess, even though he's not in the sector, working for JP Morgan anymore. But do you remember last year, Eric? I think this is pretty much where it all started. A lot of the physical demand and rise in price was that the US started shipping not just silver but gold, after the election in December 2024. And then in January, we heard that the LBMA had a 4 to 8 week delay for spot delivery of gold. And the excuse was that it was difficult to transport, that it was heavy. I think we're going to be finding out quite a bit again this year in January, and I think it could be even more explosive. What's your view?
I agree with you, Mario. I mean, the thing is with gold, gold is not critical to industrials per se. It's a monetary metal, so it's just in the vault, right? So you can, I mean, they don't want to. Whoever is the counterparty waiting for delivery, like you said, most likely central banks or institutions who are using investing in the physical gold or using it as a hedge. etc., or like the inflation hedge, etc. They can wait. If like they're given a discount or a some sort of a premium to wait, okay, they would. So that's what I think happened with the gold situation earlier in 2025. So like T plus 60, T plus 90, fine. Just give me some grease up the deal a little bit, and I'll wait 60 days. But and also, with gold, they have central banks backstop. So they can, the LBMA can borrow or lease the gold from the central banks to ship to other central banks or other institutions. Um, so they have access to the gold. That's my whole point, right? It's not like they don't have the gold because they can rob Peter to pay Paul, so to speak, even though they have to return the gold at a later date in that scenario. But with silver, silver is being consumed by industrials. And industrials cannot wait. Like, let's say, Mario, you're a automaker of electric vehicles, EV. I mean, are you going to wait for 6 months without making any electric vehicles, without any silver? No, right? Or you're making, AI systems for data centers. Are you going to just sit around and not have your silver to make your high-end integrated circuits and cables for 6 months or 6 or 9 months or 3 months or whatever? You're not. If you can, you pay the premium. You want the silver now, and I think that's going to be a major problem for a lot of these entities, a lot of these silver using entities that are essentially what I would call inflexible. They're not flexible, okay? They need the silver and they need it now.
Yeah, I even noticed you probably saw the post from Elon Musk a week or two ago about silver. He said this is not good. We need a lot of silver, but I think the silver users have been spoiled for the last 45 years with very cheap silver, and I'm afraid they're gonna have to start paying up if they want the real thing. Don't you think so?
I think so. I think like with a lot of these people, even let's say if they have to buy silver at $150 for a troy ounce, it'll probably be no big deal because if like I know somebody put up a chart of solar manufacturers. If silver is at $100, supposedly at $100 they make zero money, $0. But they forget that the price that they sell the solar panels at is not fixed. They can raise their prices to the end customer by 30 to 50% if they want to. Okay? And I tell you, that is what is going to happen. Because China is actually, the Chinese government is actually launching a program. They call everything programs in China, like the old socialist, verbiage. You know what I'm talking about, right? They call it a program. It's like anti-destructive pricing program. So in Chinese government terms, that's like raise your prices. Don't destroy the market by going dirt cheap and killing everybody in the ecosphere.
Yeah, that's what happens like when you put price controls, like I think Nixon did in the early 70s. You actually create shortages and prices actually go up after that too. And you like I think they put rent controls and you couldn't get places to live. It's the same thing with silver. And I think Eric, with the silver deficit we've had for the last, I think it's 5 years at least, uh, you can't really use futures and LBMA contracts to build solar panels. You need the real thing. And even with gold, I would argue the bricks and like the Gulf cooperation countries, they want to be part of the like international gold bullion and silver bullion market, along with Shanghai Gold Exchange. You know, the Chinese have been building vaults in Saudi Arabia. So even with gold, I think they're going to say, well, no, we can't wait 30 to 60 days. We want the physical now because we don't want to keep it in London or in New York.
I agree. I think everything is going to come ahead within probably the next 6 months. To me,
Yeah,
it looks like all these things are converging. And I just don't see how China is going to approve, all these silver exports like the way it did before. Like I said, they didn't even need to approve it because it's pre-approved, right? You get a license and then you can ship wherever you want out of China in terms of physical silver. But now I think they're going to look at each case under a microscope, and it's going to be very difficult to ship it out. I mean, I said it jokingly on my X account because I have been in the manufacturing and export business out of China for decades. So just so the audience know, I'm not a young guy. I'm pretty old fellow. I've been in business for decades doing this. And every single time when there are like import export issues, for various items, the brokers I use in China, okay, they come to me, they call me up and they say, Eric, don't worry, it's just a nothing burger. We're gonna sort it out, right? And I tell you, Mario, every single time it's a big deal. Every single time. Every single time it causes a lot of issues. Okay? So that is the way it is. And I know people want to be comforted, want to hear things that make them sleep better at night. But I'm here to tell them the truth. And hopefully they can take that home and they can process it and position themselves accordingly using facts.
yeah. And Eric, to wrap up, because I don't want to keep you too long, what are you going to be doing this year with are you going to be stacking more and buying more miners, or are you going to be taking profit?
So I just want to let your audience know that I have, sold. I announced it. I sold all my leveraged calls. Okay, like the options. I think before like the correction happened, and then I got a flood of direct messaging. They're like, "What the heck is happening, Eric? Are you like bearish, etc.?" Okay, no, because my call options were expiring in January. Number one, right? And I saw like the RSI. I mean, is overshooting a bit. I knew the swings are going to be wild, and when you hold these call options, and if the swings are wild to the downside, like they are like an exaggerated version of holding the actual equity, right, or the commodity. So I sold it because of that. But I have not sold a single troy ounce of my physical gold and silver. I have not sold a single share of any of the miners that I hold. So in 2026, I think what's going to happen is we're going to continue on this path of a higher gold and silver revaluation by the market. I think that's what's going to happen, unless there's a US dollar liquidity squeeze, like what happened in March 2020, like right when COVID started. Okay, so unless that happens, I don't see gold and silver majorly correcting like a crash. I don't see that, and therefore I see myself holding on to all my positions this year.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same for me. Of course, this is what we're doing. We're not telling you to do that. Just one quick question before we wrap up. Where do you think silver could go in terms of price?
I think it's very possible that silver can go to $100 US per troy ounce. Whether or not it's going to go to 150 or 200, it really depends on the global physical silver free float situation. Okay, so like free float and also free flow. Okay, like from one location to another, flowing. So if those two things, get major hiccups. Okay, so if the free float is too low, or like let's say China is really serious about the export controls, and the physical silver flows get disrupted, we might be seeing 200 US dollars or above. It's possible in that scenario.
Sounds reasonable, Eric. Thank you very much, and always great to talk to you. And I wish you a happy, healthy, and prosperous new year.
Thank you very much, Mario, and the same.